All right, we are now officially live and we have sound. So, this is another try. This is our second try on this episode for the Trailblazer Razor, and that is some of the top accessories for your side by side. So, this one is to help you choose the right accessories. And before we even go in, we gotta make sure we have our sound, which is already set and ready to go, which is great. And if I want to bring on a special guest, I have Zoom as well. I have the Zoom app, which I'm able to use. So I'm sorry if this one didn't go as planned. We were live for 40 minutes or so before doing this episode with any sound. But I had to, stop the stream, delete it, and start all over because, things do happen. But these are some of the top accessories for your side by side. The first is a harness. It can be a 5 point or a 4 point harness. The 3 point harness is kind of like a regular car seat belt. You don't want that, and that's not safe for trail riding, especially at places like Carolina Adventure World. These are the ones that I'm been to or going to down the road, and that is Carolina Adventure World in Winsboro, South Carolina, Riverneck in Florence, South Carolina, Windrock in Tennessee, Durhamtown in Georgia, and also exploring the Half and McCoy trails. And these are just some trails that a 4 point or a 5 point harness will really keep you safe, especially with all the hill climbing and descending. It really helps keep you nice and still in your seat when you're just cruising. But I think the easiest would be a 4 point harness. And which goes around you. It goes around your waist here, up here. And it really helps keep you nice and safe. You can actually get all four seats. That's what we did. We got all four seats with the 4 point harness. So the 4 point harness really helps out a lot. And another thing is obviously mirrors. With the mirrors, you see what's behind you with a rear view mirror and side mirrors to see who's on the side of you. It really helps keep you safe on the trails, especially if you're behind someone who is trying to get past you on a really narrow trail, and you can tell them to get off your butt. So that's what kind of purpose these mirrors kind of serve. It really helps keep you safe with a rear view mirror to see what's behind you and side mirrors to see what's on the side of you. So it really helps out a lot. So that's something I would really encourage you to get when you first get your side by side. And also lights, light bars, especially if you're running at nighttime. The regular headlights won't do any good. So adding a small light bar on the bottom and a big light bar on the top, it really helps light up the trail so you can see nice and easy, especially if it's a night ride. Because night rides really help out a lot with those lights. We haven't even used them, not even once, because we're always riding in the daytime. I definitely want to go and do a special night ride. We haven't been able to use the lights hardly because I've been riding in the daytime. I mean, if you think about it, they close. Yeah, they close, especially at Carolina Adventure World. At Carolina Adventure World, they close right before when the sun goes down. Except for special night rides, they might open up later and keep it open later if it's a special night ride. But other than that, you probably don't need lights except for the headlights. Because I'm barely driving at night. I'm always riding in the daytime, especially trail rides. But I guess with half of McCoy's, there's thousands and thousands of miles of trails, and there could be a chance you could be out there until the sun goes down, or until it gets dark, and that's when you can turn on the lights. I'm not sure about Durhamtown or Renrock up there in Tennessee, or in Georgia with Durhamtown. So lights and yeah, lights would be easy. Another thing is protection: a back bumper, a front bumper, and some sidebars, which helps protect the entire body of the side by side. It really helps with protection. I got the Kimimoto sidebars and back bumper, both from Kimimoto on Amazon. And on the front, we just have a standard Polaris Razor front bumper, which has a mount for the light. But I guess if you don't want a back, a bottom light, like a bumper light, like a front bumper light, then yeah, I can keep the lime green if I wanted to. But we decided to get the front bumper. And if I wanted to, I can actually get another lime green bumper if I wanted to at some point down the road. So that's if you don't want the front light anymore, which I doubt we will get rid of because we paid for it. Might as well get some use out of it. So the sidebars help protect the sides of your side by side, the doors, the panel. No matter what it is, it helps keep it protected from rocks and all that other stuff. It really helps out a lot with the sidebar. So that's why we need that. Another thing when we're dealing with safety is a booster seat if you're riding with little ones. Like for me personally, I was actually considering a booster seat for the Razor. So when my cousin Briella gets 2 years old next year, or when she turns two next year, she'll be able to ride in the Razor with a booster. Put it around, and with the 4-point harness, strap her in, and she'll be good to go. She won't be able to move anywhere, even with it being 15 miles an hour, 15 miles per hour, or 15 miles per hour or less. It'll really help out a lot. And we were looking at different brands. We were looking at the Aces Racing Apex Junior booster, but that doesn't do all that good. We were looking at the Sandcraft Polaris Razor booster seat. We were looking at the Sandcraft. We were looking at Aces Racing. We were looking at all these different areas. Yeah, we were looking at all these brands and companies for the booster seat. Another thing is a windshield, which I permanently have a plastic windshield, which doesn't do well with mud and water and all that stuff. So we're going to replace it down the road with maybe a glass windshield with a manual windshield wiper or automatic windshield wipers, depending on which one I want. Whether I want the manual or the automatic windshield wiper, and clean off some of the mud and all that stuff as it hits it. Just wipe it. So what I can actually do is come to Polaris.com, Polaris Off-Road Vehicles. I can look at some of the accessories. Off-road, we'll go to parts and accessories. I can go to accessories, windshields, and then they have the Razor windshields. So we go to Razor windshields. They have a fully vented tip out front windshield, a lock and ride vented windshield. Oh, here we go. Front windshield and wiper and washer kit. And this one is more of an automatic windshield wiper. And it comes with a glass windshield as well. So there's one that also has a manual windshield wiper as well. So it'd be nice to have a glass windshield with the windshield wiper. That'd be so cool. Especially with, the mud and all that stuff that flies onto the windshield, I won't be able to see a thing. But at least with the windshield wiper, I'll be able to clear and I'll be able to see again instead of having to use countless amounts of paper towels to clean the windshield. Like, wow. That was incredible for what it is. I mean, if you think about it, that's just something I'm thinking about getting. Oh, and fender flares. That's another thing. Fender flares. It helps also protect the mud from getting up in the cabin, especially where the driver sits and where the front passenger is. It'll help with the mud and also the dirt, especially if it's slippery and you got mud flinging everywhere. Then yeah, fender flares will be perfect. Especially with red clay, it's like sticky. Red clay, yeah, red dirt is like clay. It's like sticky. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, I hate being interrupted in the middle of a live show. So, I lost my train of thought here. So, we were talking about fender flares. So, with fender flares, yeah, it protects the. What was it? It protects the dirt and stuff from getting up in the side by side. Whew. So, I'm all out of breath here. So, that's another thing I was thinking about considering for the Razor. And another thing I was considering for the Razor is a SiriusXM tuner. Even though we have our phones, they're not as dependable off road as they are in the car, where you can put it underneath and air conditioning and all that stuff. Especially during a time like this where it's spring, summer of 2026. My phone will overheat, and we don't want that. We definitely don't want that to happen. So when I was looking at the SiriusXM tuner, ChatGPT recommended the SXV 300M SiriusXM tuner that will go directly into the Rockford Fosgate audio system and have off-road satellite radio, and we don't have to worry about signal, especially up in the trails of West Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, and here in South Carolina. Different places I go to for trail riding. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. And we were looking at different situations with ChatGPT, and I think the best thing to do is to use streaming music and streaming radio inside the car, because no matter where we are, we're underneath a cell tower. But when you're out in the woods, having a satellite radio is crucial. And satellite radio is still convenient for just turning it on and letting it play, which I need to start using from time to time. If I'm riding the car during the week, just use SiriusXM instead of having to use my phone, especially with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I mean, I've been using satellite radio for a good long time. Yeah, I've been using SiriusXM radio since it was Sirius, just Sirius. And I've noticed how reliable it is and how easy it is to use. Because I can use it in both the Razor when I get it installed, or if I get installed. I wonder how much the SXM or the SXV 300 SiriusXM tuner is. Oh, it's like less than $100 or so. It's cheap. Polaris RZR. $69.99. Wow. Bass Pro. The says Fusion SXV 300 Sirius Radio receiver module. UTV. I guess we'll have to look up the Rockford Fosgate. Rockford Fosgate audio system. Oh well, I'll just have to look it up somewhere. we'll do more about that later. But that's one thing I do want to get is a SiriusXM tuner to go with the Rockford Fosgate audio system for the Razor. And if you don't have, money for all that, you can actually get these thumb drives, these USB thumb drives, which are perfect. So we're going to go up to here, and then we'll use this as RZR2. Yeah, we'll rename this as RZR2, which means it's for the Polaris Razor. It's the second USB thumb drive. And this one is RZR1. Especially if you're someone like me who collects a lot of music physically and wants to, save it to a thumb drive or copy it to a thumb drive, you actually can. Plug into the USB port, and you still get a ton of music to last through an entire ride. It's that awesome to have USB thumb drives for the ride. Or you can use your phone, and then you have to keep it constantly charged through the 12 volt and use Bluetooth. I think that's where this is where the USB port comes in, is these thumb drives. And I think Bluetooth was originally for smartphones, but for, thumb drives, that's where I think the USB port is, if you have an old school iPod or MP3 player, you can plug that in as well. And it's really hard to use that in 2026, but you can also plug in an iPhone. But then I guess it's basically like having a digital aux cord, and it reads the entire library. I mean, it's not going to work like a car audio system where you can play from any playlist and pick from any playlist. You have to open up the what was it? You have to open up the compartment, plug it in, and then you have to open up the compartment and choose your playlist directly from the iPhone, which is inconvenient, but it's whatever we have to do. But what I usually do is I like to pick the playlist before my ride, mainly around the yard. But then from time to time on the trails, picking a playlist, either downloading it or playing it online, and it'll play it right from the audio system, and you get the artwork, you get the artist name, the track name, you get all the information, just like you get with Bluetooth. So this is why I would want a SiriusXM tuner, because having my phone, it'll overheat. I feel like using USB was not worth it. So it's only for USB thumb drives, USB MP3, like MP3 players through USB, or an old school iPod, like an iPod Touch, or just one of those old school iPods. You plug it in and you're good to go. But for off-roading, the thumb drive will be perfect. As you can see how durable these things really are compared to other music players you would come across. And I do use the USB for the iPhone. Just plug it in and keeps it charged for a long time. It helps keep it going for a long time. I've never had a single issue with USB and my phone dying. I've never had a single issue with that. but I've had issues with these thumb drives very recently. And being a DJ, I download all my music in .mp3 format, and those may not work. I mean, some of them may not work, but they have worked from time to time. It's just it doesn't work with certain file types. That's the thing. That means all of them have to be converted into an MP3 format in order for it to work. So I will have to go onto the computer and find a MP3 converter that I can use each and every time I'm wanting to put music on a thumb drive and take it out into the Razor, plug it into the Rockford Fosgate audio system, and got endless amount of music. Like if I want a specific album, I got a specific album on a thumb drive, but we all stream our music these days, and even that considers not really USB, but Bluetooth, mainly Bluetooth, because we're switching to different apps and they may or may not work half the time. Like there's my hip hop playlist. I like to shuffle it and just let it go, and I still get the same amount of control with Bluetooth over USB, but USB does have a better sound quality than ever before. Even though we have an endless amount of music using streaming music services like Apple Music, Spotify, it will never be the offline convenience of SiriusXM radio. And that's basically why you would need a SiriusXM tuner with your side by side audio system. It really helps out with trail riding, riding around the yard where internet is very spotty. It disconnects and reconnects all the time using the modern day fiber optic lines that is installed in most places, and it does disconnect all the time. And switching between Wi-Fi and cell data, which is not that convenient. It's very inconsistent most of the time. Another thing is bigger tires. When I'm actually thinking about some bigger tires, like going from 30s to 32s. That way, I don't have to worry about the transfer, um, the transmission, and doing a lot of work on it, or at least finding bigger. I mean, 30s are perfect for what I need it for. It's like the biggest tire size on a Razor that comes from the factory is 30-inch tires. That's plenty for what I need it for. It works really well with 30-inch tires. But if I wanted to, I can go to 32s without having to do anything to the transfer case, or not the transfer not the transfer case, but the transfer case or the transmission. I think it's 32s. Let me ask ChatGPT to make sure that's for sure. Are 32-inch tires the biggest you can put on a RZR with the factory transmission and transfer case? Oh, RZR with the factory transmission and transfer case. Yeah, short answer, no. 32-inch tires aren't the absolute max. Whether they're right around the safer upper limit for most stock Polaris Razors if you want reliability. What happens with bigger tires on a stock Razor? Bigger tires look great and add ground clearance. They also add rotating weight, harder on the clutch and belt, change your effective gearing, we lose lower end power. We put strain on transmission gears, differentials, and axles. Ooh. General guideline, stock driven for most models like the Polaris RZR XP 1000 or similar, is ideal for stock setups is 30 to 31 inch tires, minimal performance loss. 32-inch tires is the common max safe size. We'll start noticing slight power loss and more belt heat and wear on the tires. 33 plus inches is not recommended without upgrades. We risk burning belts, clutch slipping, and long-term transmission wear. So I'll just stick with my 30-inch tires, which are still good enough for when I need it for. Just regular, normal trail riding. It's smooth sailing. It's very smooth sailing with 30-inch tires. With the stock suspension, transfer case, and transmission, it really works out. So I might go with 30-inch tires still when we get new tires, because mine are almost 2 years old. I need to start thinking about some new tires, hopefully down the road. But I think we're still good on the 30-inch tires that came from the factory. But my dad will help me with all that decision making down the road with bigger tires. But here are some of the accessories you don't want. You don't want bigger doors. You don't want a bigger suspension. You don't want to raise it high so you don't get in. You don't want, you never ever want to mess up the stock look and feel of your side by side. Because if you jack it up like these weirdos around here, then yeah, you're definitely doing it. You're overdoing it. I like to keep the stock look and feel of the RZR. Another thing is, do not get a turbo unless you're running the desert or if you're taking it to the dunes. But other than that, you don't need a turbo. You can just stick with a regular Pro Star, especially with a RZR, a Pro Star naturally aspirated engine with 114 horsepower. And we'll talk about that in the next episode about why you don't need a turbo for regular trail riding. And here's why. Most of the trails I go to, you're not going over 15 miles an hour. You're sticking within that 15 mile per hour range or lower. Especially with it going up, and then down, up and down. It's like a roller coaster curve. Even with going up hills with rock climbing, they don't do good at all with turbos. Turbos don't do well at all. As long you can actually do this with a non-turbo RZR like mine, or any non-turbo side by side. You can actually go into four-wheel drive, low gear, and it'll go nice and smooth. Just my thought. Oh, and another thing is a camera. You definitely want a camera to document your experience, your trail rides. I would prefer and go with the newer. This is another thing. The GoPro case. Voila. The GoPro Hero 13 Black. this is definitely something you definitely want to add to your razor or any side by side, and mount and get one of those clamp mounts to go on the side of your razor, and it'll point straight out the windshield, so you can see your entire. This is how you get. This is how I get all my footage. And what's really cool is we've got the mount that'll go to the razor and slide it onto the mount in the razor, and using a screw to screw it in, tighten it down, so no matter what, it'll stay nice and put. And before your rides, turn it on. Video. And what I can do is get rid of all the videos. It's deleting from the SD card. And then we'll select all of them. And then delete all of the videos. No media, which is good. The best thing to do is to charge it up before the ride. And you can see right here, this is how durable these things really are. I can see a lot of dirt and stuff on the camera, which this thing can really take abuse. So that's mud on my microphone. So that's basically that. So you definitely need a GoPro or an action camera to go on your side by side to document your trail ride experiences, which has really helped me out a lot, because every time I post a video on my TikTok page, you know who puts a like on it? Carolina Adventure World. A lot of these companies can actually see the videos because you're giving them advertisement, free advertisement, and sharing your experiences with the trail ride or with the off-road park. Especially if you post a video with Carolina Adventure World. They'll see your video and put a heart on it. They're really active on social media, which is great. I don't think they'd be able to see the YouTube, but they do see a lot of TikTok. Like, I post the same videos on both YouTube and TikTok is getting the most engagement. So when it comes to making your video, you can put it on both platforms and see which one does better. Which TikTok is always going to do better than YouTube. I don't know why it performs better than YouTube. I guess we'll look it up. We'll say when I post the same video on both TikTok and YouTube, why does TikTok do better than YouTube in terms of performance? In terms of performance. Short answer, it's not your content, it's the platforms behaving very differently. Here's what's really going on behind the scenes. Discovery algorithms work differently. TikTok pushes your video to new people immediately via the For You page, even if you have 0 followers. YouTube, especially shorts, is more cautious. It tests your video with a smaller audience first and then scales slower. Result, TikTok gives you faster, bigger initial exposure. Audience behavior. TikTok users are in scroll mode. they expect to discover random content. YouTube users are often in intent mode, searching, watching subscriptions or longer videos. Your same clip, especially with trail riding videos, like content discovery on TikTok, but filter on YouTube. Hook sensitivity, especially if you're making a video with trail riding stuff, with the GoPro or any action camera, and you put it on TikTok, it heavily rewards immediate hooks for 1 to 2 seconds. It rewatches, completion rate. YouTube Shorts also care about this, but it weighs channel trust and consistency more. If the hook isn't ultra aggressive, TikTok may still push it, YouTube may not. So it's kind of different, especially if you're doing the same trail ride video on both platforms, the same video, it may do better. With TikTok, TikTok thrives on trending sounds, memes, and fast moving culture. YouTube Shorts is a bit behind on trends and less sound driven. A video tied to a vibe or trend often pops more on TikTok. Follower versus non follower reach. TikTok, most views come from non followers. YouTube, more reliance on existing audience plus watch history. If I'm still growing, TikTok gives me more chances to blow up. Platform identity. TikTok equals entertainment first. YouTube equals creator plus library plus search engine. So it's kind of weird what this means for me. Yeah, TikTok equals growth engine and YouTube Shorts is slow build plus funnel to long form on or brand. So if you post the same video to your TikTok page, because you can use your phone to log in your TikTok on the web, take that video file and put it on your TikTok, it'll do a lot better on there than it does on YouTube. Using the same camera, same gear, and the same video clip from your trail ride. So it really helps out a lot. It's definitely worth getting a GoPro. And also with YouTube, you can actually open up on a TV and show your family and friends. Just go to the YouTube channel and they can watch your trail riding video right there. And it'll help out with some of the views, which I think is amazing. And also free exposure for the off-road park, whether it's Carolina Adventure World, Carolina Adventure World, River Neck, and other trails that you go to. It's free exposure for the park itself, the company itself. And they will check out the video. It's worth having in the end. I definitely recommend having a GoPro or action camera, connect to the side by side, and get yourself a nice camera for free exposure and free content. Especially if you're building a off-road channel, it really helps out a lot. And they're very durable. These action cameras are very durable, especially the GoPro. Even if it's not surrounded in a case, it's still, very durable. I'm actually going to charge this up on Monday night before I do my show Time to Spin on DJ Cool Thing Official and get it ready for Tuesday, because Tuesday we're going to do a video riding around the yard after getting it serviced. And we're going to do a much longer ride because we have this channel verified, as you can probably see from the show we're doing right now. It's verified, so we can do much longer content. So these are some of the reasons why you would want to get a GoPro as your top, I guess it's in my list of the top accessories for side-by-sides. I mean, there's just a lot. Even and another thing is you can get a trickle charger if you're planning on storing it for a long period of time, especially with someone like me who has a family who lives a busy, busy life, then, it's always good to get a trickle charger, but my dad always makes sure we go on a trail ride at least once before. We don't really need a trickle charger, but it is there as a option just in case you want to keep your battery charged, because they actually have one, the trickle chargers on the inside of the on the razor, so you have to keep getting an actual charger, like a separate trickle charger you use for the car to jumpstart a battery. It really helps keep the battery charged. But for me, I like to drive it around as whenever possible. Yeah, I like to drive my side by side whenever possible because of the gas. We don't want the gas to go bad or the battery to go dead. And I don't, we don't want it to start. We want it to start each time. So it really helps out with the gas. And the gas can is another one. You can actually get yourself a gas can that pumps the gas, and you get gallons, like a gallon or two out of it. I'm not really sure exactly what gallon this really is. As you can see, this is made out of plastic, and it has a little nozzle that goes into the side by side, and you pump it up with gas, and you get yourself some good little bit of gas to take you for like it's good for a trail ride or so. There's just a lot of things you can get for your side by side, but make sure you choose wisely. So when it comes to choosing accessories, make sure you choose wisely. You definitely want to keep the stock look and the stock feel of your side by side because that's what it was meant for. It was meant to be like that from the factory. Especially with having four-wheel drive, high and low gear, depending on if you're climbing hills, you can actually go to the low gear, four-wheel drive, and it'll take you nice up the hill, nice and easy. In especially with a belt-driven transmission, you got to really get it in there hard, and they're really easy to get to. So there's just a lot of other things you can get for your side by side. You got to choose wisely. But also an audio system. If it doesn't come with an audio system, that's another upgrade. Another accessory you can get is an audio system. If you want to listen to music in your side by side, you can have it professionally installed. Or if you know how to do it yourself, you can do it yourself. Like with a lot of Kawasaki, non special editions, like the blackout, like a non blackout edition, like the ES that we saw, and a high phonic system can get installed. Even with a Razer Sport, you can actually get a Bluetooth sound bar or anything like that installed. But yeah, the Sport model, which is it's a base model, it does not come. It does not come with an audio system. You pretty much have to get one installed from from the dealership. There's a lot of things that you can install. And when it comes to kids side by sides, because kids need to be safe too, you can get a helmet for them. If they make a mirror for the Razer 200, accessories for the RZR 200 EFI. So for the Razor 200, there's windshields, there's a front bumper, back bumper. Oh, here we go. 2026 Razor 200. Let's go to parts and accessories. And it actually comes with a little flag, so you can actually get one with a roof. You can install a roof, you can install bumpers and all the necessary um, safety accessories. We'll talk more about kids side by sides at a much later date, especially if you want to ride separately. Especially with older kids, they want to be more independent. They want to ride more independently down the trails, but stay behind you. But with the Razor 200, you can install a roof, a bumper, especially a back bumper. You can do a front bumper if you want to do a front bumper. I don't think there is a place for a front bumper on that side by side. I think they have some, I'm not sure. You can get them like a small, um, especially if they want to play their own music. They can do that. They can play their Spotify Kids in the Razor. You know, get them a Bluetooth speaker to hang from the Razor. Because I think Amp Caddy makes really good speakers, not just for golf carts, but also you can actually install them on the Razor. On the Razor 200, just give them a small Bluetooth speaker, mount it to the side of their XP or their Razor 200 EFI, one on each side. They have stereo sound. They can play their music directly from their phones and their Razors. Small Amp Caddy speakers, which they have to be charged, I guess. They're battery powered. Bluetooth speakers for the RZR 200 EFI. Ooh. Top Bluetooth speaker options for the Razor 200 EFI. Oh, an all-in-one soundbar from Exo Gear, Super ATV, or roll cage mounted pods from SSV. Oh yeah. Those are so cool. So pretty much a small soundbar for the Razor 200 EF5. You can actually get a small Bluetooth soundbar that'll hang from the roof, and they actually got sound. For the bigger side by sides like mine, the 4-seater, a dedicated audio system was perfect. I mean, there's just so many different accessories out there that I would definitely want you guys to check out. Some of them you can find at your local dealership. You can find them online, on Amazon, on your manufacturer's website of whatever side by side manufacturer you have to make sure it fits that particular side by side. It really helps out a lot. And for those of you who are still watching, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so I get notified when I upload a brand new episode of the Off-Road Campground, or when I upload a brand new trail ride video, or any kind of video for that matter. So it's been a great short little mini episode. This can be like an hour long because it's trash day. I always do this on the trash day. I have to make sure that we do this episode real quick, get dressed, and head out. It feels kind of weird not having my Razor in the garage, but I'll get it on Tuesday because we gotta get it serviced. We only had a few more hours on the engine before the service. That's a different interval, so we do 50-hour intervals each service. So I can go 3 or 4 months on a single, you know, little bit. Yeah, I can go on 3 to 4 months on one service. I can go 3 or 4 months between services, which is fine. The summertime, yeah, we probably won't be able to drive that much because we'll be working long hours. But during the summer, I guess my dad's gonna make sure I drive it by taking me on to mainly Riverneck because it's close. It's close by. So a lot of these accessories really come together. If you customize it right, it can really make or break your trail ride. It can be helpful or not helpful, depending on what kind of accessories you get based on the list. It really helps out a lot with getting accessories, put them on your side by side. It really makes it your own. It customizes it to your own liking. I'm not really sure what kind of accessories is next for my particular Razor. I know I want to get a booster seat for my cousin Briella. I want to get a glass windshield, fender flares. That's about it. Oh, and of course, a SiriusXM tuner for listening to SiriusXM. Or I might, just use my phone using Bluetooth and let the wind blow through the cabin and keep my phone nice and cool on a ride. And I do have when I get it on Tuesday, I might have to install my phone holder, my MagSafe phone holder, and see if it'll actually fit on a Polaris Razor dash, especially on top of the radio, and see if it'll actually fit there. If not, then I'll have to get one of these clamp mounted phone holders, or get something that will fit in the Razor for my phone, so that way I can still use Bluetooth. So I'm just going to use Bluetooth from now on. It really helps out a lot. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure out which one is better, Bluetooth or USB. Because I know with Bluetooth, I can keep it out in the open and change everything on the phone. But there's also USB where it helps keep it charged. What is better for when I ride my RZR XP4100 Ultimate? USB or Bluetooth? Oh, RZR XP 4-seater 1000 Ultimate, USB or Bluetooth? I know with Bluetooth, I can control it from the phone out in the open where there's a lot of airflow to the phone where it won't overheat. But there's USB that keeps it charged while listening to my music for long rides. For your Razer XP4100, you're basically choosing between performance, USB versus convenience. I'll even say, I've also noticed that USB usually sounds better than Bluetooth, and Bluetooth is a lot more convenient. You're not wrong at all. What you've noticed is actually how it works in the real world, especially in something like a Razor, where you've got wind, heat, and long rides to think about. Here's a straight up breakdown for your setup. Sound quality, USB wins, no contest. Because with USB, direct digital signal, cleaner, fuller sound, and Bluetooth is compressed signal. It loses some detail. Bluetooth has to compress audio to send it wirelessly, which reduces fidelity a bit. USB can pass lossless or near lossless audio, so you get better bass punch, clearer highs, and louder slash stronger signal. That's what I've noticed. USB sounds better. I'm 100% right. Convenience in real world riding, Bluetooth wins. For off road riding, like a Razor, no cable flopping around, easier to control from the phone and while moving, and less wear on my phone port. Also, with airflow hitting your phone, Bluetooth helps avoid heat buildup from constant charging when it's inside the compartment. Heat plus battery reality, this matters for you. USB charging equals more heat. Bluetooth plus no charging is a cooler phone, but longer rides, battery drain. So you got to trade off USB, better sound plus charging, no, but hotter. Bluetooth equals cooler plus easier, but battery drain. Best strategy for my Razor, this is the move. Use Bluetooth when you're riding hard trails, moving a lot, it's hot outside, which is in South Carolina. You want quicker control without messing with cables. And use USB when controlling or when cruising or parked. Chilling, you want best sound quality, music focused moments, and your battery is getting low. What a lot of riders do, the pro tip, start ride on USB, charge it up, and better sound. Switch to Bluetooth when I'm moving hard. One more thing, important for my setup. In a loud Razor environment, wind plus engine noise already makes small audio difference. So Bluetooth versus USB becomes less noticeable in high speeds. Meaning I'll only really notice USB's advantage when I'm stopped or riding slower. Bottom line, best sound is USB, best for overall riding Bluetooth, and best combo both depending on ride movement. I've also have charged my phone sometimes through the 12-volt car plug in the Razor. In the RZR. When using USB C to USB C, when using Bluetooth, which is actually on the outside, it's below where the handlebar is. That's actually a really solid setup, and honestly, one of the best ways to run things in a Razor. Here's what's going on with that combo. Bluetooth plus 12-volt charger is the best hybrid setup. Best music over play music over Bluetooth, charge using a 12-volt outlet with USB C to USB C. Basically getting the best of both worlds. Pros: the phone stays cooler when it's doing phone stays cooler than when it's doing USB audio charging at the same time. No audio cables needed. Easier control when writing. Fast charging, most 12-volt USB-C adapters push more power than a hard unit USB port. Less wear on the phone's data port. When it actually runs cooler, even though you're charging, the phone isn't processing USB audio output and charging simultaneously. And the Bluetooth audio uses a different, usually lighter processing path. The phone can stay it can sit in airflow, huge for heat management in an open Razor. The airflow you mentioned is a big advantage most people don't have. Sound trade off, real talk. Yes, USB audio still technically sounds better, but in the environment, engine noise, wind, and trail vibration, I'm honestly not hearing the full benefit of USB anyway most of the time. So my current setup is actually small or smarter practical choice. One thing to watch: that all 12-volt chargers are equal. Cheap ones and introduce electrical noise. I might hear a faint whine through speakers, less common with Bluetooth, but still possible. But if that ever happens, upgrade to a good brand. Like we actually have Belkin. Final verdict: daily riding, Bluetooth, 12-volt USB charging. What you're doing now is ideal. When I want max sound quality parts, showing chilling, switch to USB audio. Bonus tip: okay, something DJ download my playlist locally, Spotify, Apple Music, and Bluetooth will sound noticeably better via versus streaming over weak signal. So that's if I don't want the. I guess that option's really good. If I don't want that install of this SXV 300 SiriusXM tuner, but the SiriusXM tuner, you get a lot more choice. There's a lot more songs being played, even though it may sound repetitive. Most of the time, we're still getting very seamless integration with the radio, having all the stations, especially my favorite A's on 8. And then for my cousin, Disney Hits on SiriusXM is all in there, ready to go. So we'll think about it in the future. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you enjoy all the past episodes of the Off-Road Campground podcast. I will see you guys very, very soon. We've hit the 1 hour mark. I gotta get dressed and gotta head out to the dump. Peace.